All right, White's faithful, gather round because what I'm about to drop on you is absolutely massive. This weekend has served up 3 stories that'll have you screaming at your screen and texting the lads in the group chat. First up, we've got a midfielder who's not just banging in worldies and setting up goals. He's out here threatening to chin the referee if his goal gets disallowed. Pure banter with a Premier League official during the match. The confidence, the cheek, and the numbers are starting to prove this might be the signing of the season. But while we're celebrating individual brilliance, there's a dark cloud over Elland Road. Daniel Farke has identified TWO massive problems costing us points. Late goals conceded, sloppy defending, chances missed that would make you weep. The boss isn't happy and something's gotta give. And then, this is where it gets spicy. We've got a defensive situation that's got everyone confused. We splashed £18 million on a center back who can't get near the starting 11 because the player in that position is playing out of his skin. But here's the kicker. Leeds wanted to sell that same player in the summer for PSR reasons. Now 80 White says if we did sell him, we'd make £18 million minimum, possibly more. Smash that like button, drop a comment, and subscribe because you don't want to miss what's coming next. You ready? Let's dive into story number 1. Sean Longstaff. Remember when we signed him and people said decent championship depth? Well, forget that because this man is playing like he's possessed by every Leeds legend combined. Saturday against Bournemouth just after halftime, Longstaff absolutely leathered one from outside the box. It smacked off the post and nestled in the net. Juraj Petrovic didn't stand a chance. The celebration? A knee slide. The man dropped to his knees like he just won the Champions League. The place went mental. But then VAR starts looking. They're checking if Pascal Struijk is offside and blocking the keeper's view. Imagine you've just scored a banger, done your celebration, and now someone in a van somewhere is trying to take it away. What do? Well, Longstaff walks up to referee Michael Oliver and has a proper chat. And here's the context. For the first time in Longstaff's career, he's got Oliver as referee. Why? Because Oliver is a Newcastle supporter. Premier League rules say you can't ref a team you support, so Oliver never did Newcastle matches, which means he's never reffed Longstaff before. But now Longstaff's in Leeds White. All bets are off. So Longstaff tells Oliver, according to LUTV, if you disallow this goal after I've just done a knee slide, I'm gonna chin you after the game. Then adds obviously he's a Newcastle fan like that's normal banter with a referee. The audacity. The absolute scenes. The goal stood, and what a character this man is. But let's talk performance because the banter is one thing, but results matter. Longstaff also laid on the assist for Joe Rodon's header. Man of the match performance, no question. He ran that midfield, bossed Bournemouth around like they were a league to side. Check the numbers. In 171 games for Newcastle, Longstaff had 10 goals and 9 assists. 1 involvement every 593.6 minutes. Solid but not spectacular. But in 6 games for Leeds, 1 goal, 1 assist, that's every 193 minutes. He's tripled his output. Hit the bar against Fulham too, so could easily have more. The numbers don't lie, Whites. This man is thriving in a Leeds shirt. He's providing creativity, goals, that Yorkshire grit this club demands. Bournemouth manager Andoni Iraola even singled him out after the match, saying he was particularly impressed. When the opposition manager tips his cap to you, you know you've had a proper game. But here's the thing, despite Longstaff's heroics, despite Rodon's header, despite dominating Bournemouth for large stretches, we still only got a 2-2 to draw. To more points dropped at Elland Road. Another game where we let it slip. And Farke, he's not happy. Which brings us perfectly to story 2. Right, Whites, this gets uncomfortable but we need to talk about it. After that Bournemouth draw, Farke identified TWO massive issues killing us this season. And if we don't fix them fast, we're in trouble. Leads the 2 to Bournemouth at Elland Road. We're unbeaten at home. Sounds good, right? Wrong. We had 19 shots. 19. Higher XG. Dominated possession. Created chances. Yet another late equalizer. To more points dropped. Sound familiar? Because it should. Fulham away. Last gasp loss at Craven Cottage. It's becoming a pattern. And patterns like this are the difference between top 4 and scrapping for Europa. Farke told The Athletic's Beer and Cross, valuable and a good point. If you concede that late, deserving to win, it doesn't feel great. Another 19 shots. One team missing big chances, us, US. We're the ones missing the big chances. Dominic Calvert-Lewin had absolute sitters he didn't convert. Jermaine Beckford praised his overall performance, but the man knows he should have had a hat trick. When you're at the top level, against Premier League defenses, you cannot waste golden opportunities. You get 3 or 4 good chances if you're lucky. You've got to bury at least one. The second problem, our defending in our own box. Fark said, organization, desire to block passes, details. Unnecessary sloppy touch to give away late free kick. Drop to deep on free kick. Didn't drop for second ball. Heartbreaking. This is what happens at the top level. Teams punish very little. Teams punish very little. That's the key phrase. In the Championship, you might get away with a sloppy touch in the 93rd minute. In the Premier League, boom, back of the net. Game over. That's exactly what happened against Bournemouth. Needless free kick given away. Poor organization on the set piece. Didn't deal with the second ball. And suddenly it's the 2-2. Michael Oliver didn't help either. Fark called out a much too soft free kick decision that led to a Bournemouth goal. But we can't blame the ref for everything. We've got to be smarter, more clinical, kill games off when we're on top. We're 11th in the table with 8 points from 6 games. 2 wins, 2 draws, 2 losses. Goal difference -3. That's not good enough for our ambitions. Behind Fulham, Brighton, Chelsea. Teams we should be competing with are pulling away. But Fark's also demanding something from us, the supporters. He said, in 3 home games, struggling to think of chances for the opponent. In this atmosphere, it is difficult for the opponent. Everyone is fighting for everything and we have unity with the supporters. He wants unity. He wants that 12th man making Elland Road a fortress. When the atmosphere is electric, we're unbeatable. The concern, away form. Fark said, it's unclear how fruitful Leeds will be on their travels, making home comforts vital. If we can't win on the road, we must maximize home points. Every home game becomes absolutely crucial. Plus Noah Okafor limped off against Bournemouth. Another injury worry. Fark will be fearing the worst, meaning squad depth is tested again. To massive problems, can't finish chances, to sloppy at the back. Fix those and we genuinely challenge for top 6. Don't, and it's a long stressful season. But there's one more huge story about money, PSR, and an impossible decision that could define everything. Right, Whites, buckle up because this involves money, PSR, squad selection drama, and a decision that could define our entire season. This is where things get really messy. Let's start with facts. Daniel Fark has started Pascal Struijk in all 6 Premier League games, alongside Joe Rodon at center back. Meanwhile, Jack Abidjal, the £18 million signing we brought in from Udinese over the summer, can't get a sniff of the starting 11. He's on the bench, watching, waiting, probably wondering what the hell he has to do to get a game. Now normally when you sign a player for £18 million, you expect them to walk straight into the team, right? You don't spend that kind of money on someone to warm the bench. But here's the thing, Struijk has been brilliant. Absolutely rock solid. He's kept his place on merit, not favoritism. Former Leeds defender Eddie White was on BBC Radio Leeds and absolutely nailed the situation. Listen to this. I don't like the view that because you've been signed for money, you're entitled to play. Struijk has started the season well. He's held on to his shirt. So he should. He's played well. Boom. That's it right there. Just because Bijal cost £18 million doesn't mean he automatically deserves to start. Football doesn't work like that. If Struijk is playing well, which he is, why should he be dropped? But then White drops this bombshell. Struijk and Bijal, what's their value? Bijal is worth £18 million. Struij's value has got to be up there, no doubt about it. If he's getting sold, he's going for £18 million plus. The numbers aren't always the thing to go off. £18 million, at minimum, possibly more, for a player we signed as a teenager from Ajax for basically nothing. That's massive profit. That's pure profit for PSR purposes. That's the kind of money that could fund 2 or 3 more signings. And here's where it gets really interesting. Whites, Leeds already identified Struijk as a possible PSR sale during the summer. Our managing director Robbie Evans has admitted that Leeds have maxed out PSR, which means if we want to bring in any new players in January or next summer, we're going to have to sell someone first. Leeds identified the players they could potentially cash in on, Willy Gnonto and Pascal Struijk. Both would generate massive PSR profits because of how little they cost to acquire. Nanto came for peanuts, Struijk was basically free. Sell either one for £20 million plus and suddenly you've got a war chest. But here's the problem. Struijk admitted there was interest in him during the summer, but he chose to stay. He said he wanted to taste the Premier League again with Leeds. The man wants to be here. He's loyal. He's committed. He's playing the best football of his career. And we're supposed to just sell him. Can you imagine the reaction from the fans if we flog Struijk after he's been one of our best performers? Especially when the £18 million replacement we brought in can't even get on the pitch. The Elland Road faithful would be furious. And rightly so. But the cold, hard reality is this. Struijk has only 2 years left on his contract. That means his value is only going to drop from here unless we extend him or cash in now. While the asking price is high. From a business perspective, and PSR is all about business, it might make sense to sell while we can maximize profit. This is the impossible situation Leeds find themselves in. Do you keep the player who's performing brilliantly and risk losing him for less money next summer? Or do you sell him now, bank the £18 million plus profit, free up squad space, and finally give Bijl the chance he was signed for? And what about Bijl in all this? The man came here thinking he'd be a starter. He chose Leeds over other options. He's on Premier League wages. And now he's sitting on the bench watching a player who was nearly sold take his spot. How's his confidence? His motivation? What's going through his head? This is the kind of decision that can make or break a season, Whites. Get it right and everyone's happy. Get it wrong and you've got a disgruntled player who wants out. You've lost a fan favorite. And the entire defense falls apart. Farke's clearly made his choice for now. Struijk stays in the team as long as he keeps performing. And you know what? That's the right call. You play your best players. You reward form. You don't drop someone just because someone else costs more money. But the PSR situation isn't going away. Evans has been crystal clear about that. If Leeds want to strengthen in January, and they need to with all these injuries piling up, they're going to have to sell. So who goes? Struijk, Nanto, someone else entirely? That's the million-pound question. Right, Whites, that's the full picture. 3 massive stories all showing the reality of Premier League football. We've got a midfielder playing out of his skin and threatening referees, a manager identifying critical flaws that need fixing ASAP, and a defensive dilemma forcing Leeds into an impossible choice.